Guys, it's time for happy hour. Are you ready? Do-do-do-dum. Do-do-do-do-do-dum. Guys, I was really feeling some Mariah for Monday. So it's a Mariah Monday. Happy hour, guys. Time to put something in your glass. Monday, July 13th is over, and it is time to cheers. You guys know the drill. I want to know, where are you? I want to know what you're drinking. 3 stars if you're a first timer. For those of you who typically join me, you know that I'm normally outside with that in the background. But this string of triple digits has gotten me indoors for happy hour, and I'm kind of okay with that because air conditioning feels way better than triple digits. So hope you guys are staying cool out there. Cheers, guys. Rinda, what is up? First in the comments today. Christian over on YouTube with Steph in Austin drinking a Riesling. Hey, what Riesling are you guys drinking? Guys, so underrated to be drinking Riesling in summer. It's so perfect. And most of the Rieslings produced in the world, they're not sweet. I want to know what you guys are drinking. Let me know in the comments. Eric and Asha checking in from San Antonio, having some 18 Hunter. Yes, I'm glad also, Brian, that I'm inside. Sarah in San Antonio having the carbonic tonight. Guys, I love those natural wines. If y'all did the virtual tasting this past weekend, those 2 natural wines that we're producing, carbonic tonight and that natural rosé, man, so good. I may or may not have both of those wines on deck for later happy hours, guys. Doug, happy hour. In Allen, figuring out what to go for. Alsa in Frisco having some Farmhouse Mourvedre. Hey guys, that's what I'm drinking. Cheers, my Canadian friend Alan up in Toronto having a Niagara Rosé. Okay, is it Cab Franc based? I think Niagara does quite a bit of Cab Franc. I can't remember. It's been a little while since I studied Canadian wine. You know they're making some good stuff up there. Alan in Sugarland. Y'all, can we just like talk about how good this song still hits? Like, man, I just want to like belt it out. I know it's not appropriate. You didn't sign up for karaoke, but woo, you'll be right back, baby. Guys, I'm so stoked today. We're going to be talking about Chile. Just about lost my phone that was serving as my speaker, but we're going to be talking about Chile today. Because why? Because I was thinking today, I wish it was chilly. Like, I wish it was cold. And so I was like, oh, we haven't really dove into Chile and the wines of Chile. So I'm going to bring it to you, and we're going to talk about what are the 3 things you need to know about Chile today. But first, I got to give the William Chris wine of the day. So let's do that. Y'all, it is Mourvedre Monday. So happy Mourvedre Monday. You know, I've been trying to theme our days. So Mondays, because we make so much Mourvedre at William Chris, we're going to start to do some killer Mourvedre. So this particular one is from Farmhouse Vineyards in the Texas High Plains, coming from the 2017 vintage, that amazing, incredible 2017 vintage. I'm going to pour myself a little bit more. You should too. Cheers, guys. Happy hour. Excited to be hanging out with y'all. Let's talk about this wine a little bit. This wine, compared to some of the other previous Mourvedres that I've been drinking, especially like the Temens, which is pretty light, this one, it's impossible to see through. So it's definitely got a darker color. I would say darker fruit notes too. So instead of the like tart red stuff, we're working, I think, in the like black fruit world, things like blackberries, black cherry, maybe like black plum. This particular Mourvedre saw a fair amount of oak. So it had 18 months. We did 50% of the wine in an oak fermenter, which are those really big, if you've been in our barrel room at the estate, those really big format, they look like giant barrels essentially, are called oak fermenters. We did half of this wine in those, and half in 30% new French oak. Okay, so 30% new French oak is really going to start, that's on the higher end for us at William Chris. We usually top out around like 20. So when we bump it up to 30, that we think that this wine can handle it. We think the grapes can handle it. And we want to create a style that has some of those baking spice notes, Some of the little bit of like oak that you can, it doesn't smell or taste like oak. Because I just want to like clarify that. And a lot of folks are like, oh, well, if you put it in a barrel, then it tastes like that. No, this isn't about oak flavor. It's about the flavors that are produced by the interaction of the oak and the wine. And it's just a lot of, for me, this has got a very obvious oak profile that has a lot of spice. But still really nicely balanced. I would say medium tannin, but not a lot. Still fruit driven. I would say fruit with a significant amount of oak character. Food guys here, I've been craving duck. Don't ask me why, but I really want to have some duck lately. And this particular wine, I want to do duck with like a fruit glaze on top, like reduction of maybe like a pomegranate reduction on duck. You could also do something like a pork roasted, garlic roasted pork tenderloin. Those for me would be where my brain is. I definitely want meat with this. And you need something that has enough flavor to not be overpowered by the oak profile on this wine. So if you're out there and you're the type of person that likes a good oak profile on a wine, that nice spice that you get from oak, this is your kind of Mourvedre. This is an oaked red wine Mourvedre. It's really nice right now. I do wish I was eating though. This is for sure a food wine. I see some good recommendations. This is duck l'orange would be also fantastic with this. Okay, let's check in with a few more folks, and then we're gonna hop into wine nerd section, guys, because we got to talk Chile, not like wines that you drink while you're Chile or that you drink while you're eating chili. Anyway, Christian, good to see this Chateau Montelena Riesling. Okay, so some California Riesling. I love it. Bill's having some Chateau de la Chaz Beaujolais. I love it. Some Gamay is great for this hot weather right now. So if you're drinking Beaujolais, that's a really good one. Reed's having some Dunhoff Riesling in Austin. Also really killer. Dunhoff, guys, one of the best producers outside the Mosel. So the Mosel's kind of like the heartland of Riesling in Germany, and you get outside of the Mosel a little bit, and Dunhoff is like the standard bearer. Incredible quality there. Okay, guys, let's talk about Chile, because I wish I was Chile. I wish I was in Chile, honestly. Like I've gotten to go, was it twice? No, I've only been once. I've been to Chile once. I got to visit the wine country. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. Let me drop this. I want all of your wines of Chile questions. And of course, I'm going to be telling you about the 3 things you need to know about the wines of Chile today. And it's going to be important to know, and you're going to find this out, that Chile just isn't one thing. I think a lot of people assume that Chile is either, but we're going to do some myth busting today. It's either like gluggable, cheap grocery store wine that doesn't cost a lot of money and it's really easy, but it's also not premium. That's one myth. The other myth is that Chile is only just one thing. It's only, for example, Carmenere. It's not just Carmenere, okay? So we're going to talk about that today. Chile is so diverse. It's so big, but you know me, got to show you a map. Everybody got their colored pencils. And that's the happy hour drinking bingo or drinking game where you have to take a drink if I talk about bringing out colored pencils to color your geography map. So everybody take a drink. Time to look at a map. I need to refresh all of your memories because probably quite a few of us out there who like don't know exactly where Chile is. You're like, okay, it's South America, but where? So let's take a look. So first, I want you to look at this map. I've zoomed in so you can't see the wine regions yet, but I wanted you to see where on the continent that the country of Chile is on the South American continent. So take a look before we look at the wine regions. I want you to look in this bottom corner here, that strip, that white strip along the west coast. You see how it goes basically from like the middle of the country all the way to the tip. Okay, so this is a very long country. Okay, very long. Now it's also very skinny. I think it averages like only 110 miles across, all the way top to bottom. You'll notice that there's an ocean right next to it. So that's going to be a big factor. We're going to talk about that. It's got mountains to the east that separate it from Argentina. The very northern part of the country is a desert. And then the tip at the very bottom is the Patagonia wilderness, which is like this very rugged kind of, they could actually film like other planet type of movies in Patagonia because it's so otherworldly. It's got glaciers, it's got mountains, it's got wetlands. It's really cool if you're into like outdoor stuff and animals. Um, but all that to say, the country in the middle is kind of boxed in by all of these geologic features. So that's actually thing number one you need to know about Chile. And Brian, thank you for telling us that it's 65 in Santiago right now. That would be heavenly, guys. Heavenly. All right. So this is thing number one you need to know. It's geographically isolated, and it is the only major wine region in the world without phylloxera. So let me zoom out so you can actually see the wine regions now. And it's really long, so I'm gonna have to zoom pretty far out. Okay. So Atacama up in the north. Okay, they're actually growing grapes on the edges of the vineyard here, or edges of the desert here, because the Atacama Desert. It's crazy. Most wines that we know of, and probably the most famous region, kind of their workhorse, is this Central Valley region. That's like a fuchsia color in the middle. It's right outside of Santiago. You see the capital is right here in the middle of the country. Casablanca and San Antonio in purple here along the coast are well known for their cold climate wines. So we're going to talk about that next. So cold climate wines, we're thinking Chardonnay, we're thinking Sauv Blanc, Pinot Noir. Central Valley, because it's a valley in the middle of the country, that's where you're going to get a lot of sun, warmer temperatures, and you're going to get your bigger, more intense, ripe grapes. And then you do have some stuff. I say the South region is where things are starting to pop up. Things like Pinot Noir, Cinsault, and some other kind of like new up and coming natural winemakers are starting to make wine kind of on the border. So this is a layout of the country. The phylloxera thing is important to know. And that's because it's so isolated. It's essentially like an island. Phylloxera, that vine louse that wiped out the world's vineyards around the turn of the 20th century. So late 1800s going into the 1900s. Chile didn't get hit by that, and still to this day is the only major winemaking region in the world that does not battle phylloxera because it's isolated. The louse has not found its way in because of the desert, because of the ocean, and because of the mountains. They've never been hit with phylloxera. So what does that mean, and why do you care? That means that a lot of the vines here are very, very old. So Chile is considered a new world wine region, but they've been making wine for very, very, very long time. And a lot of these own rooted vines are very old. They're ungrafted. They're on their own rootstock. They didn't have to do grafting like a lot of the major wine regions of the world, or all of the major wine regions of the world, because there is no phylloxera. So that's huge. This dry climate is another piece. It's a very dry climate because of how it's placed, because of the mountains. It enables a lot of biodynamic and organic farming. So the overwhelming majority of wines produced are sustainable agriculture. And that's because you don't have as much disease pressure when you don't have as much rain. Cool. Now, let's talk about thing two. I'll take a drink. Y'all got some good questions coming through. Let's take one real quick. Christian over on YouTube is asking, what is the mirror region in the Northern Hemisphere? I'm going to think about that one while I describe these next two and come back to it. It's a super unique place, and it's so diverse. And that's actually thing two. What we're going to talk about with thing two is that while Carmenere, and that's what you need to know, Carmenere is the name of the grape that's like the national grape of Chile. But Chile is so much more than just Carmenere. Because it's so big and diverse, they don't just depend on just one or maybe two grape varieties. So, like a lot of regions have like their one or two, maybe like one white grape, one red grape. Chile is so diverse in their growing regions and their ability to make quality that they are doing a whole bunch of stuff. So kind of like I talked about that warm inland region in the Central Valley, it provides excellent conditions for things like Cabernet Sauvignon, for Merlot, and for Carmenere. So let's pause just a sec and talk about Carmenere, because that's what everybody associates with Chile. Okay, this is the name of the national grape of Chile, but guess what? Like a lot of things in wine, it originated in France. So Carmenere is one of the lost varieties of Bordeaux. Okay, it is it is allowed to be grown in Bordeaux and used to be a huge blending component in Bordeaux before phylloxera wiped out all the vineyards. And when they replanted everything, Carmenere basically got left behind. There's tiny plantings of Carmenere still in Bordeaux, but it is very, 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 very rare. Okay, I mean, like, I think there's only like 70 acres total. In Chile, they have like 21,000 acres of Carmenere. Carmenere as a grape tends to show a lot of these like black fruit notes, like black cherry, but its calling card are these green peppercorn notes. And we talked about pyrazine before. Pyrazine is what gives a lot of Cabernet wines, Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc, gives those Cabernet wines this green note, this green bell pepper. And in Carmenere, for me, it's more of like a green peppercorn note. Now, if you don't like green bell pepper, green peppercorn, then you got to look out because Carmenere has it in high amounts. There's a lot of pyrazines. And that's actually something that, stylistically, that these winemakers like and love. And so they've tried to figure out how to do that. Now, they've also blended the Carmenere in with other Bordeaux varieties because Cab Sauv and Merlot grow so well together, and Bordeaux blends the world over are really highly respected, and there's a lot of demand for it. So if they want to have an economy of high quality wines, they need to be making stuff that isn't too obscure and too just Carmenere driven. So that's Carmenere and the interior parts of the country. Now, when we get to the cool climates parts, we're talking about either coastal or high elevation, right? So coastal on the west part next to the ocean, and the high elevation is kind of on the foothills of the Andes Mountains headed towards Argentina. They get colder weather, they get colder climates, and so you're able to grow things like Chardonnay. They're making very beautiful Sauvignon Blanc, and they're starting to really take off with Pinot Noir. It's still kind of a up and coming variety that they're working with, but guys, all this to say is that Chile is not a one-trick pony. And if you like any of these varieties, if you like Bordeaux blends, if you like Pinot Noir, if you like Chardonnay, if you like Sauvignon Blanc, even if you like the Cab Francs and Cabernet Sauvs that have that green note, and you want Carmenere, Chile has it all, guys. Chile has it all. And that's important because, and this is thing number 3 you need to know, Chile was originally known for their cheap, easy drinking wines. No mas, right? No mas. So they're actually making super high quality premium wines now. And this is due to a lot of factors, okay? First of all, they've got a lot of land to work with. The country of Chile has invested a lot of money to support farming of grapes and the wine industry as a whole. So they're ready to get it out. America loves drinking Chilean wine. It has a really good reputation here. Well, they've kind of taken advantage of that and started to make these top tier wines, these old ungrafted vines, undiscovered vineyards. There's a lot of freedom right now for new appellations. They've started to carve out that sense of place, that terroir. So each individual region actually is starting to have an identity. Then you've got what they consider kind of the millionaire's playground effect. So Chateau Lafite Rothschild, I don't know if you guys are familiar with a very, very famous French, very rich French company that makes wine in France, Lafite Rothschild. And then the founders of Grand Marnier, the liqueur, the Marnier L'Apostale family also has a big investment here. And so all these big time names in France are starting to come and plant all these vineyards to make like wine tourism a thing. It is the millionaire's playground. So tons of investment going into Chile, which is raising their profile. And the reason you should care about that is because that means we can get high quality wines at a fraction of the cost for other regions of the world. Okay, so those are your 3 things about Chile. Let me check in with the questions. I saw a few come through, and I appreciate all of you folks. Asha's got a question here. Is there a difference in the taste of the grapes if they have grafted or ungrafted vines? You know, not technically. The fruit is still coming from, if it's a vine is grafted, the fruit is coming from the fruiting part of the vine. That sounds kind of obvious, but the part that's above ground, the part that gets grafted onto the roots, is the Eurasian vine. The rootstock is the North American rootstock because it's not prone to phylloxera. It's resistant. So because it's technically going to be the same DNA, it's the ungrafted vines aren't necessarily going to have a different flavor. Now, there is some people believe, and we've talked about old vines. I think it's more about the age of the vines here than it is necessarily about them being ungrafted. So the profile is going to be different with older vines. Remember, less production. The production that they do make, the clusters they do make, have smaller berries, so you get more concentrated grapes, more concentrated components in the wine. So that's a key piece. Eric is asking if I've been to Chile. I have been to Chile. I don't know if you're trying to make a joke with Chile, but Chile is really cool. I have been there. You fly into Santiago, and it's only like an hour to an hour and a half drive to the main part of the Central Valley, where you can go visit a lot of really stunning vineyards. And they sit in the valley, so you have like mountains on one side and smaller mountains. So they have the main Andes mountains, but then they also have smaller mountain ranges in the middle of the country, and these grape growing areas are in the valley between the mountains, and it is just stunning. And again, they've poured a ton of money into wine tourism and really want people to come visit. Okay. So Rick is saying here, and you guys know that I always love to give producer names. He loves the Montez Purple Angel. Guys, Montez is one of the top quality producers, and it's one that I'm going to recommend here at the end. You know, I won't leave you hanging. After we answer some questions, I'll give you the producers to look out for. Alan's asking, would any of Texas's AVAs be suitable for growing Carmenere? I think so. I really do. I think both the high plains and the hill country, anywhere that you're going to grow Bordeaux varieties, which we're obviously growing a lot of Cab, a lot of Merlot, a lot of Malbec. Guys, those are Carmenere is going to do fine in the places that those grapes are doing well. So yes, we could do it. Now the problem becomes, again, it's very particular, and I don't know that you necessarily need it. So what happened with Carmenere? A little bit of backstory. I have way too much information jammed in this big head of mine that I could sit and talk just about the Carmenere story. But when they planted Carmenere, and for the longest time, all the way, guys, all the way until the 90s. So this is very recent, all the way to the 90s, they believed all the Carmenere that's planted in Chile, they thought it was Merlot. They thought it was Merlot the whole time. It was planted next to other Merlot vines. It looked the same. Well, there was a French botanist who happened to be in Chile and realized that some of the Merlot vines were taking longer to ripen than the others. So they did some DNA testing, and they found about 50% of the plantings of Merlot in Chile were actually Carmenere. So and again, guys, this is happening in the 90s. They're discovering this. So this actually became this rediscovery. Carmenere was like almost extinct because they didn't replant hardly any of it, if any, when phylloxera wiped out Bordeaux. And so this was like a huge deal. That's why when they talk about having 21,000 acres of Carmenere vines, that's a big deal. So back to the Texas piece, it's so green, like the character of it is so green. I'm not sure, especially in a region like ours where we're still working through who we are and what we're going to be about. You know, I think Rhone varieties are here to stay, like the Mourvedre and the Cinsault and the Grenache and the Syrah. You know, our whites are Roussanne and Marsanne, our Picpools. Like Rhone is here to stay. You know, I think the Tempranillos are here to stay. So we already have a lot going on. I'm not sure. There's some financial consideration, right? And I'm not sure there are farmers ready to take the risk right now to try and introduce something like Carmenere. But I do absolutely believe that we are capable of doing Carmenere, and I think it would be well suited. Probably, if I had to take my guess, because I've been to the Central Valley and know how hot it can get, probably more a hill country AVA variety than a high plains. So that's my take. Angela's asking, since there's a desert, does Tempranillo do well? So they're not really growing Tempranillo. It could, you know, Tempranillo does well in like the really hot arid parts of Spain, but they're really not messing with Tempranillo in Chile. Okay. Man, guys, I promised you producers, so let's do that before I do these three things. The bonus always, you want to go look for some delicious, and guys, again, I can't stress this enough, if you're gonna get a variety of grape that you love, let's say you're a Chardonnay. I was actually talking, and I'm not putting her out there. My friend Elise, our accountant at William Chris, she loves oaked Chardonnays, and I I was racking my brain. I think a lot of oaked California Chardonnays, the price has started to go. It's starting to get a little bit ridiculous in my view. And so I was like, well, what other regions of the world are growing quality Chardonnay? And Chile was one of the first that came to my mind. Obviously, Burgundy, it's even more ridiculously expensive. But if you know a style of wine you like, it's a fairly good chance if it's a major style, Chile is growing it and they're doing it well, and you're getting it for a price that's much better than the alternative. So I wouldn't have said that probably 8 years ago, 10 years ago, because they were still very much like a volume driven wine economy. But that's not the case anymore. So this high quality stuff, look for it. These are the people. Montez, you heard, I think it was Alan who mentioned Montez. I love the Montez Alpha wine. Arazaris is another one, and Cloapalta. Now there are a whole bunch of other ones, but these are the three that came to mind. I am for sure that I have seen these wines, the wines from these producers in Texas, and so it's also something I try and make sure when I recommend stuff that you can go find it. But go try it. Like if you're a Sauvignon Blanc drinker, next time you go get Sauvignon Blanc, try and find one from Chile. If you're a Chardonnay drinker, get one from Chile. If you're a Cab or Merlot or Bordeaux blend person, try one from Chile. And it'll surprise you guys. This stuff is good. Oh, guys, it's a lot of information about Chile. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let's all take a drink before I do these three things. Cheers to you guys. First and foremost, you guys know the wines have been revealed for this week's virtual tasting. And that's big because, guys, this is the first time we've done an all high estate virtual tasting. That's a big freaking deal. Okay. You get my eyes only for this one. This look creepy at the camera while I talk to you about this. Chris and Catherine are doing a high estate grown all high estate virtual tasting this weekend. If you already picked up the pack last week, obviously you're going to need wine to get you there anyway. There's a lot of case specials and a lot of other great picks up on the website, so don't miss those either. I'm personally really excited about that brand new high estate Malbec Rosé because it's still rosé season, and the Malbec Rosé, guys, aged in concrete eggs. And I am obsessed with wines from concrete eggs. So that'll be the one that I'm looking out for. I'll be out the winery maybe tomorrow, but sometime this week, and I'm gonna pick up some Malbec Rosé. Love it. Second, you guys know that we have pivoted to doing private virtual tastings, so we can bring the tasting room tasting experience to your living room, to your vacation rental home, to wherever you are, virtually through our private virtual tastings. Guys, we are so excited to do this. Was talking with Susie earlier, who is helping out to support all this happening. Fill out the form that's right there in the comments because we want to do a private virtual tasting with you. And last and certainly but not least, yes, pivot. Pivot is the word of the season. Blair, good to see your name in here. Glad you're joining us today. Guys, pivot is the word of the season, and we're going to keep pivoting because we're here for you. We're going to get you your wine. We're going to teach you about wine. We're going to hang out together. We're going to drink together, and it's going to be great. Guys, tomorrow we're drinking 17 Clink Sangiovese. All right, I will see you here at 5 p.m. Today, I want to cheers, and I'm going to shout out my friend Blair. She is a part of the state of Texas's emergency management crew that have been working around the clock through all of this crazy pandemic stuff. So I want to shout out to all of the behind the scenes state employees, emergency management, healthcare system. There's just a lot of crazy logistics. They're up to all hours of the night, all hours of the morning, emails, phone calls, getting information out, trying to take care of all of us. So shout out to all of our state employees who are doing all the behind the scenes work we don't even know about. So cheers to you guys. Cheers to all of you for joining. Happy Monday. Monday's over. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. So good.